Vice Chancellor, may I request that we be on our feet as we welcome the Vice Chancellor of the University on the 10th Distinguished Lecture of the University of Medical Sciences, UNIMED, Ondo City, Ondo State. We have in the procession the principal officers of the university, as well as our distinguished guest lecturer for today. So we are going to take the anthems. We'll start with the second stanza of the Nigerian anthem, thereafter the state anthem and the university anthem. First, the second stanza of the national anthem.
God of creation. God of creation, direct our noble cause, guide our leaders right, help our youth the truth to know, in love and honesty to grow, and live in just and truth, great mercy heights attain, to build a nation where peace and justice shall reign.
Thank you. Next, we take the stage anthem. Thank you. Next is the university anthem.
Make it
you very much. Once again, on behalf of the Vice Chancellor of the University, I want to warmly welcome you all to the 10th in the series of distinguished lectures of the University with the theme Knowledge, Governance, and Sustainable Development in Nigeria, the Missing Gap. We have here today seated dignitaries or principal officers of the university, as well as dignitaries from invited guests on this occasion. Let me start with the eggheads of the university, led by the Vice Chancellor, who is a professor of public health and community medicine and a fellow of the Nigerian Academy of Science. Please put your hands together for Professor Adesegun Olayiwola Fatusi, FNA Med, FAS. We also want to warmly welcome on this occasion the Deputy Vice Chancellor, Administration and Clinical Services of the university. He is a professor of restorative dentistry. Join me in welcoming Professor Adolphus O. Loto. You're welcome, sir. Permit me, Mr. Vice Chancellor, to welcome on this occasion the Registrar of the University, a seasoned administrator, in person of Dr. Woliola J. Ekundayo. Welcome, sir. May I, at this point, also warmly welcome the 10th distinguished lecturer for the university. He is the President, Nigerian Academy of Letters, and the Chancellor of Osun State University. Please welcome Professor Shola Akinriade, FNAR. Thank you very much. Mr. Vice Chancellor, sir, permit me to, as briefly as possible, recognize deans and a number of directors that we have here seated today. Permit me to start with the Dean of the Faculty of Pharmacy of the University, in person of Professor A.O. Ogundaini. We also have seated here today the Dean, Faculty of Clinical Sciences of the University, Professor Tayo Alebioshu. And Mr. Vice Chancellor, sir, permit me to also warmly recognize the Dean of all students, irrespective of your faculty or your department, the Student Affairs, Dr. Evelyn Shalewa Osho. Mr. Vice Chancellor, sir, permit me also to warmly recognize and welcome on this occasion the Director, Office of Strategy and Program Management of the University, Professor Olumide Ogundansi. We also have here today the Director for the Center for Gender and Health Equity of the University, Professor Augustina Niriti-Duilim. Welcome, ma'am. The Director of the Institute of Health Humanities is Dr. Iheanacho C. Mitono. And the Director for the Center for Entrepreneurial Development and Innovation of the University, Professor W. O. Owolawe. And the Director for the Central Office for Research and Development of the University, Dr. Oyetunde Oyeyemi. And lastly, in the list or the cadre of directors, let me recognize and welcome the Chairman for the Central Committee on Animal-Related Care and Services, Dr. Ifeoluwa Oyeyemi. Thank you very much. That may be the side. Oh, just before we do that, permit me, Mr. Vice Chancellor, to recognize very specially on this occasion those who are in the company of the guest lecturer for today, all the way from Obafemi Awolowo University, Ile-Ife. We have the head of the Department of English Language, OAU, and a member of the Governing Council of the university, Professor E.G.O. Babalola. And we have from the Department of Religious Studies, Obafemi Awolowo University, Ile-Ife, Professor Matthews A. Ojo. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, that will be the size of the recognition for now. If we have other dignitaries in the course of the program, we will let you know and recognize them appropriately. May I, at this point, invite the director for is actually the chairman for the Founders Week Committee and the director for the Office of Program Management and Strategy of the university, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, Professor Olumide Okudansi, to deliver the welcome address on this occasion.
Thank you. Vice Chancellor, Deputy Vice Chancellor, Registrar, distinguished lecturers, our distinguished guests, colleagues, ladies and gentlemen, good morning. I think it's still morning. Let me begin with an apology for the late start. I want to assure you that this is an aberration. It is by no means a reflection of the norm. Having said that, it's a great pleasure and honor to welcome you to the 10th Distinguished Lecture of the University of Medical Sciences, Ondo. Today, we gather here to celebrate knowledge, excellence, and the pursuit of advancement in our society. The distinguished lecture, or the guest lecture, is one of 4 occasions that occur every year in the calendar of the university where we invite an accomplished individual to deliver a lecture and expand our horizons beyond the domain of the natural sciences. Today, we are especially privileged to honor a distinguished scholar and luminary in academia. Presently, as you will see, his citation will indeed confirm that we shall be hearing from a distinguished and accomplished Nigerian today. Professor Shola Akinriyade, FNAL, is president of the Nigerian Academy of Letters. His wealth of experience and profound insights and dedication to excellence as well as scholarship have made him a beacon in the academic and professional spheres. Our university has always been committed to fostering an environment of intellectual curiosity, innovation, and the relentless pursuit of excellence in scholarship and service. The link between health and development and the fact that holistic healthcare and delivery is facilitated by a solid foundation of knowledge, development, and good governance, among other things. They are all well established. It is therefore very apt today that as we stand on the threshold of the 10th anniversary of UNIMED's founding, the 10th distinguished lecture should address the missing gap of knowledge in the issues around governance and sustainable development in Nigeria. And we all embrace this opportunity to expand our horizons and deepen our understanding of the dynamic landscape of health and development. I encourage you all to immerse yourselves in this intellectual journey as our distinguished lecturer gives his lecture. There will be a vote of thanks at the end of this event. However, it will be very remiss of me not to, at the very least, appreciate the work of the members of the Founders Week Committee, who began to work about a week ago, last Thursday, and will culminate with the mosque prayer program tomorrow at 1:15 p.m. Thank you very much. Once again, I welcome you all to the 10th Distinguished Lecture of our university. Let us embrace this opportunity to learn and broaden our horizon in the health domain. Welcome.
Another round of applause for the Chairman, Founders Week Committee of the university, in person of Professor Olumide Ogundansi. Please, let's put our hands together again for him. Thank you very much, sir. I understand that we have the Vice Dean for the Postgraduate School of the university in the audience. Please come and take the seat research for you in the front. Okay. A round of applause for her, Mrs. Dr. Yinka Doris Olorufemi. Please come and sit in the front representing the Dean of the Postgraduate School of the university. Thank you very much. Next, we are going to take the citation of the guest lecturer for today.
Distinguished ladies and gentlemen,
may I request that the lecturer in person of Professor Shola Akinrinade, FNAL, stand as we have the pre-recorded citation of the guest lecturer.
distinguished ladies and gentlemen, the citation of Professor Shola Akinrinade, FNAL, FHSN. Our distinguished lecturer, Professor Shola Akinrinade, is a first-class graduate of history and master's degree in history from the University of Ife, now Obafemi Awolowo University. Among several honors, he graduated as the most outstanding student of the year at the University of Ife in 1981. Professor Shola Akinrinade proceeded to the London School of Economics and Political Science, University of London, for his doctoral studies and obtained the Doctor of Philosophy in International Relations. At the London School of Economics and Political Science, he was a scholar at the prestigious Sundry and Toyota International Center for Economics and Related Disciplines, London School of Economics. Because of his outstanding and exceptional scholarship, the University of Ife offered him an appointment as a graduate assistant in the Department of History shortly after completing his national service with the NYSC in August 1982. In a short space of 17 years, after obtaining his bachelor's degree, he was promoted to the rank of full professor of Africa, Diplomatic History and International Relations in October 1999 at the Obafemi Awolowo University. Professor Akinrinade was Dean of the Faculty of Art from 2003 to 2007 and the Chairman of the Committee of Dean 2006 to 2007. At the request of the Independent Corrupt Practice and Other Related Offences Commission, ICPC, he was seconded from the Obafemi Awolowo University to serve as the pioneer provost of the Anti-Corruption Academy of Nigeria from October 2014 to December 2020. The Academy provides training and general capacity building in the areas of good governance, accountability, transparency, integrity, ethics, and ancillary matters of corruption and corrupt practices. Professor Akinrinade served as the Foundation Vice Chancellor of Osun State University from inception in 2007 to 2012, where he used his considerable experience in university administration to lay a solid foundation of scholarship and excellence at Uni Osun. Professor Akinrinade is a fellow and a current president of the Nigerian Academy of Letters, the apex Nigerian institution for scholarship in the humanities. He is a fellow and a life member of the Historical Society of Nigeria, a certified management consultant and trainer with interest and expertise in higher education capacity building, leadership development, and public policy consulting, as well as anti-corruption, good governance, and Building Integrity System. Professor Akinriade is widely published in the areas of research interest. He has authored and edited several books. Professor Akinriade is married to Rita Nkechi, a graduate of Obafemi Awolowo University, Nigeria, and Harvard University, USA. Ladies and gentlemen, with a rousing ovation, I present to you the 10th distinguished lecturer, Professor Shola Akinriade, FHSN, FNAL.
You know, sometimes you wonder whether they're talking about you or they're talking about somebody else. Okay, thank you very much. The Vice Chancellor, Professor Adeshegun Fatusi, the DVC Registrar, Principal Officers. It's a pleasure to be here this morning. Permit me to appreciate distinguished colleagues who are seated there. Professor Gundaini, I have to single him out. He doesn't know this, but it's one of the reasons I'm an academic today. You know, I was a young 20-year-old final year student in the OAU at the University of Ife at the time. And and two of his colleagues were living in my father's house. This young man had this fancy food that's 180K, which, and he would cruise, handsome man with all the girls running around him. I had known I was going to be an academic since Form 3 in secondary school because I was calling myself professor. But if I had any doubt about whether I was going to do it, he erased that doubt, because he made me fall in love with academia. Let me celebrate Professor Ugundaini. I have other friends, but let me especially recognize my colleagues who joined me to come for this program. Professor Matthew Sojo, please stand up, let them recognize you. He's been a friend 40 years or more. He was the VC before Obowen University. He has had 2 VCs after him, so it's not a small VC. Matthew Sojo, thanks for coming along. Professor Eto, Emmanuel Oladipupo Babalola, is head of our English department, is a member of council at OAU, but also is assistant secretary of the Nigeria Academy of Letters. I appreciate you. Thanks to other colleagues. Professor Lebioshu, I think I still remember him. At least I recruited him in Osun, so I still know his. He was a pioneer, was the pioneer provost of the College of Earth Sciences of Osun State University. I don't know how we donated him to Unimed. But I like to appreciate everybody for the privilege of speaking at this program. Please, can I have the pointer, please? I must congratulate Unimed on the occasion of the 10th distinguished lecture. I don't know how you can't, because I know this one is not yet 10 years old. I already have 10 distinguished lectures, so maybe you're holding it 20 years. But it's a privilege to be the one giving the 10th distinguished lecture, and I must appreciate you for the privilege of coming here. Unimed has been well led in the last how many years of its existence. Distinguished scholars, distinguished scientists, distinguished medical practitioners. And if there's one thing I give to Ondo State government, is they made their selection based on merit and quality. And I'm sure the man has not disappointed you. I appreciate the government, I appreciate the state, and I appreciate everybody who has made this possible. I've been asked to speak on the subject, or I've chosen to speak on the subject of knowledge, governance, and sustainable development in Nigeria, the missing gap. Now, I intend to do two things. I will start with the conclusion. Normally, I say last things first. Why? Because I don't want somebody bringing a paper to tell me that time is up. So, before we get to that stage, let's quickly come to the conclusion. And then we'll look at what the introductory remarks that we'll talk about. A nation that despises knowledge, then knowledge and sustainable development, knowledge economy framework, what are the components, what are the pillars? And then what is the status of Nigeria with regards to knowledge economy? Then what is the missing gap, which I call governance, but which my friend said is culture. We had this argument this morning about what is the gap. We'll continue the debate after we leave this place. So, and then what are the issues for moving forward? Now, last things first. Number one, without knowledge being at the pillar of the development of a state, the development trajectory is going to be a difficult one. Why? Because the world has moved from the era of other factors of production to enhancing the place of knowledge as the engine and driver of development. A nation that doesn't prioritize building knowledge is not likely to make progress. If you look at those states, the Asian tigers and all the other countries that made rapid development after a season of underdevelopment, Singapore, South Korea, all of them prioritize investment in education. Nigeria cannot be different. If you want to develop and you want to move forward as a state, as a country, then there must be a rapid importance attached to your higher education system. Now, higher educational systems are the major source of knowledge, but they are not the only source. If you look at research institutions, and there are so many in Nigeria, Cocoa Research Institute, the NIMA, so many of them, all of them are part and parcel of the knowledge framework of this country. The question is, how are we treating them? So, if we want to move forward, if we want to attain progress, then there must be a synergy between the government, the universities, the industries, and rather than persist in despising knowledge, we must embrace knowledge as a country. We'll come to the issue of despising knowledge very soon. But if we are going to make progress, then there must be that synergy between the government and the universities, between the universities and the industry. We can't do without it. Except we are deceiving ourselves. You cannot despise knowledge and move forward. But over the years, what we have seen between the government and the universities is a general state of belligerence. Yes, it's as if the government is at war with its universities, with its knowledge factory. And until we see the universities as partners that must be embraced, producing knowledge in government and the universities. We're all in the university system, and we know the kind of relation our government at the federal level and the state. But what is happening between the government and the universities is a product of the culture of the society, in which there's a general lack of respect for knowledge. I'll come to that in a minute. Now, number two, we want to move forward. There must be funding of the universities. There must be funding of research. There must be funding of the elements of knowledge production in the country. You don't leave knowledge production to the ones and caprices of the institution. We are lucky you're a state university. I was vice chancellor of a state university, so I know the freedom I had at the time. I feel sorry for the vice chancellors of federal universities today. Very sorry for them. I don't know how many of us read the story a couple of weeks ago of one of the VCs that said he's tired, that he wants to leave. He's no longer interested in the job. There was a time people could kill themselves to be VC. And people are still doing it now. They still want to kill themselves to be VC. But when they get there, they discover that it's not a job they want to do. As a federal VC, you need approvals from 14 different desks to appoint a graduate assistant. What nonsense. What nonsense. As first year VC, I asked people simply when I met them abroad. I issued the letter. They come and regularize the appointment. You can't do it today in the federal university. Maybe you can still do it there. You still have the freedom as a state university. But federal universities, I'm sorry. So, don't let us digress. Funding is critical. And it is not by selling bread and pure water that many of our universities are doing today. They are going to raise the funds to do research. It doesn't come that way. You know, vice chancellor says, oh, go and generate internal revenue. Go and generate internal revenue. Are you going to take water out of the rock? When did you become Moses? Now, without proper funding, we are deceiving ourselves. You cannot move forward with development. When you are not producing knowledge, what are you going to consume? What is going to you to develop the state? Number three, we must support the development of innovation. Innovation is something that government must fund. You don't allow, it doesn't happen on its own. It is something that you must consciously produce. Innovation doesn't occur as a mistake. It doesn't occur as a mistake. It is a product of a conscious process. So, fund innovation, and finally, I said, government must play its part by sponsoring a substantial research effort in support of public goals and supporting development of radically new technologies. Government itself is a primary consumer of knowledge. Government itself is a primary consumer of innovation. When things develop and things are better, the government itself runs better. Let's take, for instance, you have a road transport system that you build upon knowledge. If you go to Lagos State University, there is a school of transport where they're trying to help Lagos State to solve its road traffic problem. So if it works, it makes life better for everybody. And people will say, the government is working. But before people can see that the government is working, some intellect in the background, in the laboratories, in their offices, thinking through for the government. You can't despise them and expect to move forward. So where are we? Now, today, we know that knowledge is critical to development. There's no argument about it. And happily today, Nigeria also has one of the largest knowledge factories. With 262 universities, 269 polytechnics and other institutions, 237 approved colleges of education, and numerous research institutes, we have a large knowledge factory. The question is, how much are these factories contributing to the development process? How much of the knowledge being generated by NIMA? How much of the knowledge being generated by NIFOT? How much of the knowledge being generated by Crane? How much of the knowledge being generated in the Shedder Park in Abuja are going into the development process? We say that policy must be driven by knowledge. If it is not, it becomes trial and error. And you don't run a country on the basis of trial and error. You cannot be running the country on the basis of trial and error and expect to make progress. So, we have a large factory which is hardly making any contribution to the development process. Why? I ask the question, are we a nation that despises knowledge? Popular culture. How many of us have heard the statement, Iwe Okogbo? Have we heard it before? Yeah, Yoruba people. What does that suggest? That you going to school does not make you wise. But my father said, the person that says Iwe Okogbo is the person that is not educated. That if you're educated, you know that knowledge makes you wise. It makes you better. But in our culture, you say, Dogon Turenchi, meaning that you are talking above the level of others. The Igbo man who says, Egone, only money matters. The question is, why do we despise knowledge so much as a society? So, they make us look as if we are the wrong people. You want to go to academics, they'll be feeling sorry for you. Well, you have a teacher as parent who does not want his child to read education. Everybody wants their children to be medical doctor, engineer. They want to be lawyer. That's the best they want to be. Who is going to teach them? It's as if we think that knowledge will drop from heaven into their earth, into their skull. It doesn't come that way. You see, we have to create the structure that will make sure that knowledge has its place within the society. I spoke sometimes in 2012, July 30. That who is afraid of eating the labor of his own hands? You have a teacher at Moreme High School who takes his children to OU International on the same street. What message does that send to you? That even your own school, you don't have confidence in the product of the institution. So why should I send my own child to the school? If the teacher cannot train his own child in his own school, prefers to take that child to another school, just how many minutes? 1 minute drive down the road. So, and that is the kind of thing we are talking about in terms of what importance are we attaching to knowledge? What importance are we attaching to education? I've had parents tell me that, college education, and I said, so who is going to do education? Let other people do it, but not my own child. And it's the same thing that transcends. You see, the level of access determines the level of abuse. When you have the resources of the state at your disposal, you can send your children abroad. You can send them to go and do primary school in Switzerland, secondary school in England. It's because you have the resources and you don't care about what happens to the state. So, what are we doing to ensure that knowledge contributes to our national development process? Now, in 2016, while we made this statement, it says, since the colonial era, power in Africa has regarded knowledge, original knowledge, that is the most sublime manifestation of human liberty, as dangerous or subversive. Therefore, the political, economic, and social processes that led to the emasculation of the institutions and parties of knowledge production are not incidental to the fundamental crisis of the continent. They constitute the grounds for the crisis. When we consciously go out of our way to emasculate knowledge and knowledge producers, it's not a coincidence, it's a deliberate policy. See what has happened to, we are talking about IPPS in the office of the question is, how do you have a university where the vice chancellor has to generate salaries? Why should it happen? Even a private university, there must be some form of support until you stabilize. But when you are not yet stable, and here we are, they give you 70%, gradually reduce to 40%. How do you expect the university to run? So it's a conscious policy of deliberately emasculating the institutions. It's not a coincidence that we don't have the universities. Strikes have become part and parcel of the system. Cumulatively, between 1999 and 2002, over 1,500 days lost. This is over 3 years cumulatively lost in the period 1999 to 2022. 2022 alone, February 14 to October 14, everybody was on strike. So, and my friends in the industry were circulating, let me see. Yeah, this information. They were sending it to me all the time. Shola, what are you people doing? Hey, our children are outside, blah, blah, blah. And I asked one question, and which takes us back to this last sentence. What is the official response to these strikes? When there is a strike, why does it take so long for the government to respond? When eventually you are still going to respond, it's as if they just want to keep the universities closed for as long as possible. And then they put pressure on the staff unions. They put pressure on the academic staff. They put pressure. The parents now begin to put pressure on the rest of us. That can't you think of any other way of addressing your grievances? And I say, tell me one. Just tell me one method that we can address this issue when the person you are speaking to has refused to listen. There's a dialogue of the deaf. When there's a dialogue of the deaf, nobody is even speaking. Why? Because the government is not listening. ASU are cry. I'm not inciting anybody. But the truth is that the nature of official response to the challenges in the university system, not just strike, but even building the various fundamental structures that we need to put in the facilities and infrastructure that will make knowledge and learning possible, the attitude of the government all the time has been negative. So when they don't respond to the strikes, it's just part of a trail of a process which has continued for a long time. Now, bye-bye. So we have the cycle of strikes over the years: 5 months, 3 months, 2 weeks, 6 weeks, 1 week, 9 months. February, it started on February 14, ended on October 14. So people also point to the, what do you call it, the 2020 9 months. I said, look, there was no strike that year. It was COVID. But they claimed that ASU, he actually said he was on strike, but even if you are not on strike, nobody will have been in the system. But they added to the number of days we were out of the universities. These are things, these are narratives that change the way things. Okay, so I said no nation should expect to develop and improve the quality of life of its citizens without investing in its education system. You can't. It's not going to work. And talking about despising knowledge is our attitude to funding of education. If you look at the budget, the education spending as percentage of GDP has never climbed to 10%. Never in the history of this country. Never. At least not in the last 24 years. Never. The question is, In 20, okay, where is the range? Okay, have the, yeah. 2021, 5.1 of GDP. Now, that was one of the lowest, 5.14, 5.13. And you could see minus, 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 minus. The highest we've had so far is 9 point something. We never climbed to 10% of GDP. What is our priority? In let me see, do I have it here? 2024 budget. Yeah. The 2024 budget for next year has 2.18 trillion for education, or 7.9%. We are still not up to 10%. Now, of this 2.18, 1.23 is for the Federal Ministry of Education and its priorities. It includes the salaries of all of us in the systems. Teachers in primary school, owned by the government, teachers in the federal university schools, teachers in college, everybody, and the Ministry of Education. So, the so-called 1.23 million trillion is absolutely nothing. Now, 700 billion for TET fund. And you know how TET fund is. It's shared by everybody. Now, when you look at the budget for education at 7.9%, compare it with 5% for health, 12% for defense and security. And then, what do you call it? 2% for social development and poverty reduction programs. My argument, my point is that while a case could be made for virtually all other sectors, you know, when we say that, oh, education should take 25%, I don't agree. No, you don't have to take 25%. So if you take 25%, what will agri take? We need food security. What will defense take? We need internal security. So you cannot take 25%. But anything below 15% does not address the needs of the system. It doesn't. It is investment in education that has the long-term impact of making your investment in other areas to be effective. If you spend all the money on agri, on health, on security, on defense and everything, without the right frame of mind, without the right knowledge, you are wasting your resources. I said, the average man, what he needs is basic education. He must know that when he throws garbage in the pathway of water, it's going to affect flooding eventually. But he doesn't know. So he takes his pure water sachet, throws it out, because he doesn't have basic knowledge. There are some things that if people know, they're not going to do. Sorry. So this is our historical spending. But I'm not so concerned. While it is alarming that the level is low, it is because when we consider our situation with other countries similarly positioned, that how much are we spending compared with Honduras, compared with Angola, compared with Mauritius, compared with El Salvador, then we know that we are doing very badly as a country. Nigeria is on 5.14. Angola is 6.92. Go up, Honduras is on 24%. Are we better than Honduras in terms of financial? It's because we don't attach the real importance. In 10 years' time, you say Honduras has moved forward. Why won't it move forward? Because they are putting money where it is necessary. So let's look at the other ones. You see, let's compare. Compare with Nigeria at 5.14. Yeah. So, knowledge and sustainable development. In the last 30, 40 years, there has been a great interest in knowledge contribution to development. If there's going to be sustainable long-term development in a country, then the role of knowledge has to be enhanced. There's a recognition that knowledge is not just a driver, it is the engine of development. You can have a good driver if the vehicle doesn't have an engine. It's not going to move forward. So knowledge is the engine of development, and until we begin to attach the right importance to knowledge, we are wasting our time. Knowledge equips people. You know, knowledge is that ability to know what to do and apply it for the purpose that you desire. It is not knowledge qua knowledge. It is knowledge for a purpose. There must be a reason for generating the knowledge, and it is develop your state. If you are not developing the state, you are wasting your time. Now, while we recognize there is knowledge, but we also know that knowledge production and distribution is not equally done in the world. The share of the developing countries in knowledge production is less than 10%. The knowledge produced in the developing countries is about 30% in 2018, whereas our share of global population is 84%. So 84% are producing 13%. If you go through the Punch newspaper today, what they call it, the poverty level in Nigeria has increased in the last 6 months. From 40 to something percent. Now we have more people poor than before, below the poverty line. Until we get to the stage where we recognize that we are not moving forward, we are wasting our time. Now, why is the knowledge gap? Number one, poor quality and quantity of education. Poor quality and quantity of education, especially at the tertiary and postgraduate levels. With your weak structures, there's a limit to what you can produce. Then we have weak research capacity fueled by lack of adequate and stable funding for research and development, which again hampers generation of knowledge and the maintenance of research, infrastructure, and equipment. Now, without funding for research, how do we generate knowledge? Then weak linkages and collaboration among different sectors. We mentioned the fact that the various sectors are not working together. The government is not working with the universities are not working with the industries. The various components, the various stakeholders are not working together. How do we move forward when we're not collaborating? Then insufficient protection and enforcement of intellectual property rights. When your property rights are not protected, the likelihood is like we are going to likely to tell it to another country where to be protected. If you are not getting the right protection, you are head of the intellectual property office now. It was a section under you. Yeah. Now, without intellectual property rights, what is the motivation for you to innovate? If you are not getting the reward of innovation, if I develop a new equipment, if I improve on what Professor Makajola did in the 70s, have a new yam pounding machine that does it in 2 seconds. Rather, the question is, if I'm not getting the adequate benefit, why should I be motivated to put to the national innovation system? So, if there is no protection, there is not likely to move forward. The limited access to use information of communication, ICT is the way forward today. The days when knowledge travels by word of mouth has gone. We are now in the era of the internet. So we need to move forward with this thing. So what is the knowledge economy framework? Let's try to run. There are 4 pillars. Successful transition to knowledge economy involves 4 things. Sustained and long-term investment in education. Number 2, developing innovation capability. Number 3, modernizing the information infrastructure. And finally, having an economic environment that is conducive to market transactions. That is the governance principle. These elements constitute the 4 pillars of the knowledge economy. Now, let's take them one by one. Number 1, educators who can continuously upgrade and adapt their skills to efficiently create and use knowledge. Without having skilled, well-trained, knowledgeable workers, you'll be struggling with your economy. Many times, I believe that Nigerians are onlookers in their own economy. Who is the MD of Glo? Who is the owner of Glo? The owner of Glo is Adenoga. Who is the MD? It's an Indian. Who runs MTN? South Africa. Who runs Airtel from Dubai, the Middle East? Even Glo, which is a Nigerian company, is run by Indians. Why are we become onlookers in our own economy? These are questions we are not asking ourselves. We have gradually made our people redundant, and yet these are the same people who are going abroad and doing excellently. People complain about the quality of our products, of our university system. Oh, they don't know anything. I've had several generations of students, and each one will come and say, nowadays things are better. I said, you're a liar. When you were there, we were complaining about the quality of your class. Now you now know that things are not as bad as you think. Now, you is a medical university, so you know the exploits of Badero, or what's his name? The the cardiologist, and what's the other special? Is he not a Nigerian? Where did he take his first degree? If you're which one? The Olutoye. Look, Nigerians are doing outstandingly outside this country. For those of us in humanities, no Toye Falola, no Julius Nyobere, no Jacob Olupono. These are Nigerians trained in Nigeria who have gone abroad and are excelling. What it tells me is that our structures are fundamentally good. We only need to do it right to get the right result. If we continue to despise our system, the same people that you say are not good are doing exploits outside the country. What is the problem? Our industry will complain about the quality of our graduates. The same graduates will go to England and they will excel. So until we begin to embrace even the one we have, we are going to have problems. So we need educated skilled workers who can continuously upgrade and adapt to the system. I'll give a simple example. There is dynamics. We must continually upgrade. If you have an office today, before, when you get to office, they say you must sign in at 7 o'clock. You are coming, you sign the register. Who does that today? Who does that? They will say, you can't sign no because XYZ has not come, so you can't put your own time. But today, all you need to do, put your fingerprint and you are clocked in. So if you still remain in the days of signing with your biro and paper, the world has left you. So our workers must continuously upgrade themselves. They must upgrade their knowledge, upgrade their skills. If you don't have that workforce that can continuously upgrade, it's a waste of time. Number two, effective innovation system of farms, research center, and university consultant. If you don't have an innovation system that recognizes the quality of output of these knowledge production factories, your research centers, your universities, the people that are producing the knowledge, if you don't recognize them, then there's a problem. You need an innovation system that can generate knowledge that will produce development for the country. Then information infrastructure. A modern and adequate information infrastructure that can facilitate effective communication, dissemination and processing of information and knowledge. Knowledge has always been crucial to development, even in rural societies. There is no society that has developed without new knowledge. They will ask you, who taught you? Come and teach us how to do it. It's because there is something that they don't have, which you have. Knowledge makes the difference. Economic incentive and institutional regime that provide good economic policy and institutional. If your structures, economic structures or governance are not working well, it's going to be a problem for innovation. In a situation where your tax regime, where your policies are stifling development. Okay. Was it April or May? We opened the Dangote refinery, right? And he said we are going to have petrol by July. This is what? And he didn't tell us it's July next year. He said we have petrol by July. Then it became August. Then September, nobody is talking again. Now, but that's not the problem. We then looked at the list of firms that apply for license to import petrol. Dangote was one of them. If you are going to refine petrol, why are you importing petrol? Who is asking questions? So finally, last week, they delivered 1 million liters of crude to them when they needed 6 to start. Okay? And the 1 million, they are not using it for petrol that we all need. They are using it for jet aviation fuel. Excuse me. Who is deceiving who? I mean, look, people are profiting from an inefficient system. If you read the World Bank report today on our economy, it said the CBN, the NNPC is not telling the truth about how much they are realizing. It's not me that said it's World Bank. It's in the front page of today's Punch newspaper. That they are not being truthful about the money. That all they are talking about our gains is the exchange rate depreciation that makes you to have more naira because the dollar is the same. So the $1 they gained in May, which was 400 naira, is now 1,000 naira. So now say, oh, we are making money. Which money are you making? On the suffering of Nigerians. Excuse me. So you need an economic system that promotes innovation and development, that encourages investment, that encourages people to invest in the society and believe in where they are. So what are the benefits of a knowledge economy? Minimizing the negative impact of geographic location. One of my uncles visited Israel some years ago, and he came back, was waxing lyrical about how Israel had developed despite being a desert. So, if you see the orange, it's like this. Uncle, orange like this. He said, they are orange, there's not a single seed inside. I said, that contradicts the Bible. Because it said it must produce after its own seed. That's what the Bible tells me. They produce seedless orange because they are growing the stem, not the seed. Okay? Knowledge minimizes the negative impact of geography. I don't know whether I make any sense. With knowledge, you can overcome your challenges. So a desert can be an agricultural producing country. Japan, everybody knows Japan doesn't have any natural resources. Yet, it produces the largest electronics in the world. Toyota, the electronic industry, the motor vehicle industry, Toyota, Japan. Mitsubishi, Japan. Nissan, Ondo. Now let's even look at the role of knowledge. Look at what has happened in Korea. Hyundai, Kia. These are cars that are making progress because they keep improving the quality. When I was visiting, this man asked me to go and buy, is it Kia or Hyundai? Which one do you ask us to buy that? Elantra. Hyundai Elantra. He said the car is good. He said, ask him. He said the car is good. We are buying what Toyota, we are spending about 2 times the cost of Toyota for the same vehicle. Knowledge makes the difference. It minimizes the impact of geography. When you have knowledge, you know that all the, the wide forest you have between Ondo and Ife can be used profitably to grow agriculture in the country. But they've been taken over by bandits. That's what they say. Finding new production and marketing methods. Reaching a very high degree of customer satisfaction through provision of innovative products and services. Reducing the cost of exporting, which can lead to increased competitiveness. You get everything is. So this, when you know that you have a knowledge economy, it makes you a more productive society and makes better impact on the lives of the people. People can identify with it. When Clement Adegoke, who was in charge of our Center for Rural Energies, rural technology, he developed a technology for road mending that was cheap and durable. They almost killed him. If all we did was just embrace that man's technology, patching of our roads. You know, I traveled to Abuja by road one day, that time. And they said they were using it to mend their road somewhere in the... And he told me that, those ones, they came to him, that, can we use your technology? But how many people have heard about it even now? When we put in our bid to do solar street lighting, when the state government called for bids, and our center decided to bid, go and sit down in your place. So this is our own portion. Look, we are the ones killing ourselves. We despise knowledge. We discourage it. We make it look as if those who are doing it are stupid. Job opportunities, creativity, innovation, focus on human capital development. The knowledge economy requires a high-skilled workforce, which are highly skilled human capital. It helps you. It reduces your headache, actually. So, where is Nigeria in the knowledge economy? Let me see if I can run straight to the slide. Okay. Oh, okay. Okay. Now, it's not in the slide. Where is Nigeria in the knowledge economy? Let me just go straight. Says Nigeria is currently ranked 31 of the world's major economies, a status that is not reflected in the quality of life of its citizens. As of July 2023, inflation in Nigeria stood at 24.08%, rising from 22.79% in June 2023, within 1 month. The figure for 2022, a year earlier, was around 18.85%. The index for perceived corruption in the public sector is 24, which is rather poor by global standards. Compared with other countries, Nigeria's Human Development Index of 0.459 is below the sub-regional African of 0.463. But let's now look at the knowledge index. The World Bank's Knowledge Economy Index placed Nigeria at 119 out of 145 countries. The highest ranked African country was Mauritius at 62, followed by South Africa at 67, Botswana 85, Namibia 89, Algeria 96, Egypt 97, Morocco 102, Cape Verde 103, even Cape Verde beats Nigeria, Swaziland 107, Kenya 111, Ghana 113, Senegal 114, Zambia 116, and Uganda 118. They are all ranked ahead of Nigeria. Despite our population, despite our resources, despite the size of our universities, despite the large number of our universities, all these countries are performing better than Nigeria. The question is, how do we explain this failure? And this is the kernel of this presentation. What is the knowledge gap? What's the missing gap? I think it's good governance. Because we need to be able to canalize the potential, the capacities of Nigeria to achieve the purpose that will make lives better for Nigerians. We have the resources, we have the institutions. They are doing very well. They are manufacturing, they are producing, they are innovating. Your drug research and production unit, I'm sure they are still producing APC and FENSIC. Now, what are they? Shofagara, right? We have the system of innovation that is not encouraged. People are producing new things, but are not being encouraged. What happened to Professor Makanjola's yam pounding machine? Where was it commercialized? Japan. Produced in Ife, commercialized in Japan. Who is making all the profit? Japan. For me, if we can get the governance right, then we'll be able to attach the right importance to the right things. We'll be able to get our government to appreciate the importance of education, the importance of knowledge, and the importance of collaboration between the industry and the university system, importance of collaboration between the government and the universities, the importance of putting the resources in developing the institutions so that they can in turn generate the knowledge that will develop the society. I've always maintained that the relationship between knowledge and development is symbiotic. Knowledge helps us to develop, and development helps us to increase our knowledge. They work together. You cannot despise one and expect to get the other. So, what is good? What is governance? See, good governance refers to the processes, systems, and behaviors that lead to effective, accountable, transparent, and participatory decision-making by those in authority. It involves the way power is exercised in managing a country's economic, social, and political resources for development. The key aspects are very clear. Transparency, openness in government. That is, people must know what you are doing. Opaque accountability. Take responsibility for what you have done. Accountable. Be accountable as a leader. Rule of law. Not what is good for the goose is not good for the gander. Rule of law, when a minister of justice, attorney general, is rationalizing government disobedience of the courts, what's the respect? So if the government can disobey the law, why should anybody hold me accountable? Participation, encouraging people to be part of the governance. You see, voting is supposed to be the simple way in which we participate, right? But I ask one question. Do we really have a choice? What do we choose from between what PDP and APC brings us? So if PDP hosts its Congress and decides that the richest man must be the one that will represent them, do you have a choice about who to vote for? You only vote for who the party brings up. And this is not the time to talk about it. Consensus oriented. Don't worry, I'll finish in about 10 minutes. Don't worry. Equity and inclusiveness. That is, every segment of the society must feel a sense of belonging. Sorry, I'm not an able man, but I feel that we have been unjust in this country. Inclusiveness, sense of fairness. You must feel that you have a stake in the future of the country. A friend of mine said, how does a child grow up knowing that no matter what he does, he can never get to the top in the country? How do you feel telling your child that, sorry, because you are from XYZ, you can never be the head? How does that affect the psyche of that child? Effectiveness and efficiency. You know, it's always amusing. Most of people here, you've traveled abroad, and we've seen our leaders going abroad, and they come back and will continue the same old ways. Why? Somebody who has gone to Ghana for 2 weeks comes back to the airport. This place is hot. They say, "Uri Ebdam, but I told you 2 weeks ago. She ibi tutu but I told you." Rather than engage in serious discourse about how can we make our nation to move from where it is to where it ought to be, we're discussing pedestrian things. Nobody is interested in how to make the system work. Nobody. Fashola, when he was governor of Lagos State, any serious government would tackle the problem of power in this country in 6 months. He was there for 8 years. It's easy to boast. When you get there, what do you do? I narrated an incident in 1999-2000 when Bola Ige was made the Minister of Power. I was at the OAU guest house in Ikeja, Nokwebi. I stayed there many times. So that day, I was going with the driver. So we drove past the place. And then we realized that we've passed the place. Why? Because we saw light in the place. So it cannot be the place. But there was light there. Because we were walking in. So we got there and there was light. So we assumed that we haven't reached where we were going. So we turned back. Sir, what happened today? Said, since Bola became minister, things have improved though. Now, that's not the issue. Later, at that time, the OAU MBA executive were having their lectures in the place on weekends, Saturdays. That Saturday, we were having a discussion outside, and somebody said, it can't work. Oh. We're talking about the improvement in power supply. I said, I cannot work. Oh. Who is going to buy the generator for that for? And true to form, within how many weeks, Bolage was removed as minister, and we returned to where we were. No, then they made him Attorney General. The man wanted to be, who was Minister of Power then, they took him to where he's never going to have anything to do. There is a problem with this country. It says that we enjoy suffering, and we enjoy putting people in suffering. We enjoy it when people are, because people are profiting from the inefficient system that we are running. But if they are not, they will make conscious efforts that the things they've seen abroad, they want to introduce and replicate here. We go outside the country, we see how the universities are running, and we come back and try to reproduce it, but not the larger society. If you want to change this country, go to the universities and bring the knowledge leaders. Many of them will change the story of this country in 1 year, but they will never be allowed to get them. The ones, the academies that get to power are the ones that are ready to do just about anything. Let's finish. So, good governance. How does good governance promote development? It makes it easy for you to get information. Transparency encourages innovation. Promotes investment in human capital as priorities investing in education and skills. If you have good governance, it promotes investment in human capital. You don't despise knowledge. You invest your budget. You invest your money, making sure that the universities have. I always say that our accreditation system in the Nigerian university system is a joke. Oh, it's a big joke. Accreditation is coming. Ife, can you borrow me lecturers? VC, am I lying? I want one B. It doesn't happen here. Okay. Now, we want to do accreditation. We borrow lecturers. We borrow books. We borrow curtains from the house of people to put in the department so that we pretend they have a conducive atmosphere for the university. For 5 years, I never had budget for accreditation. I never. Why? Because my position is that it is not at accreditation that we get to buy the facilities we need. What accreditation is assessing is what you used to train the people, not what you want to use to train them in future. I don't know whether that makes any sense. So if at the time of accreditation is when you begin to buy equipment, you have failed already. But unfortunately, the accreditation system is such that you know the answers. They give you the assessment sheet. I need 2 senior lecturers, 1 professor, 3 readers, 4 this. We have only 2. People, can you come and do sabbatical care? Just give me your CV, I'll put it on the list. I went for accreditation at Akwa Ibom State University. The VC was my classmate in Ife. So, I was accrediting them in history. Very funny. They brought the staff list. And I said, from the record of this person, it's not qualified to be on your list because he has to have been on the list for 6 months before you can consider him for accreditation. They came back an hour later and brought another file. 2 years. Like I said, it's a joke. Suddenly the man that joined them 6 months ago, joined them 2 years ago. So they said he has qualified. I said, by your own recording, not my own. So I called Eno. I said, VC, your university, why do you tell lies? Are they going to sack you? If they don't get accreditation, is it the end of the world? Why do you have to do blatant? If you had done it before I arrived, fine. I wouldn't have known. But right in my presence, by Koro eyes, you change 2 years to 6 months or 2 years. So how can I believe everything you have given us in this exercise? So what am I saying? We need a system that we invest in the structures, not at the time of accreditation, but to produce, to train, to produce them. I commend your VCO for starting pharmacy. It's a very expensive project. Very expensive. I was talking to the VCO of Unosun on Saturday. Time. What do you get, timekeeper? Look at me. Don't worry, we'll finish in a minute. I was talking to the VCO of Unosun. I was with a group of pharmacists who said, tell Unosun to start pharmacy. So I brought up my phone and I called him. He said, excuse sir. Oh, wow. The laboratories are expensive. So when I learned that Professor Ogunayeni is here, starting the pharmacy, I commend the institution because it is putting priorities where it matters. Putting your resources where it matters. Let me celebrate this man. Let's conclude. My friend has been telling me it's time to go. It's not the VC that says so, it's one of the people that came and said. He was putting at his watch. Did you know this song now? It's a student that will know. Who is your guy? You know my time. I give it to you. So I've given them my time today, so don't worry. But let's go to the conclusion. Okay, let's look at the record of our good governance in Nigeria. Can you see this? Stop stealing. Why? That is the street view of our government, that they're stealing. That's your road. Is that your car? And I don't know, car not near. So when you have this, see. And these are roads. When you leave the highway, these are the things you find. Have you traveled on the Auchi Benin Road before? What is it like? I think this is that road though. You know, the last time, one of the times I traveled on the road, you know, Urom is on that road. Onoli Meme was Minister of Works. He came from that town. There were 3 or 4 ministers, and then he was from that town, was Minister of Works. Minister of Works from the town, and the road is like this. So if the road to your village is not good, don't blame them, because even their own town, they have not fixed it. This is Central Bank in somebody's house. How many of us know this picture? You don't remember the picture? Okay. This is the house in Ikoyi, where we have a branch of CBN. There are more dollars in Nigeria than in America. Yeah. Because I have many of them. This one is in Ikoyi. There's one in Kaduna that was in the house of, what's his name? Yakubu. Yakubu said it was a gift from his friends. I said, Matthew, you're no longer my friend though. If somebody's friend is giving me $10 million, what have you given me? And you call yourself my friend. I'm already low. So, this speaks to the nature, the banal nature of our country. How do you keep this? This is one of our, this is where they are keeping, this is where their vehicles are. These are multi-million cars. They can't even bring it out. They can't bring it out. Can you see this? Everybody is queuing for what? For foreign investor. That's a classroom at the University of Jos. I'm sure the teacher, maybe he brought his own public address system to the class. Have you seen, how many of us know Ife very well? How many of you have you seen Jingo teaching Philosophy 104? I just said that. They teach Philosophy 101 and 104 at the sports center. When you see deep professional, you think like it's a choir master, you know. Conductor and orchestra. What knowledge are you imparting? And these people will graduate and still do well. We need to salute our students. Because they go through this. They go abroad and they still excel. If they had the right infrastructure in place, how do you think they will perform? No, we need to, I'm ashamed. So, moving forward, our prescriptions follow the same line as the problem. The pillars. Our investment must be in the 4 pillars of the knowledge economy. Number 1 is investment in education and training. You cannot short-circuit it. Innovation and technological adoption. You see, if you cannot innovate, at least know how to adapt. Buy, borrow, or steal. Innovation. How do you think China got to where it is today? By stealing Japanese technology. That's what they did. Now, China started producing cars. In 2008, I bought a brand new Geely car for my wife. She was 40 at that time. That was her birthday gift. And it took me how many years to pay the bank? The things we do for our wives. So now, I regretted it. Because after 2 years, I had to start taking the spare parts. The engine was still superb. But all the parts, the handle was gone. The key was gone. So by the time my daughter was driving the car, you have to open it from inside. But by today, the same car, the quality is improved. Because they adapted and innovated. They made it better. People are making fun of Innosi. Innosi Motors is using Mitsubishi engine. It's not worse than your Pajero. No. But Nigeria, what do? We spend 160 million, is it 60 million, 600 million buy a bulletproof car for a minister. So, number 1, invest in education. I don't need to talk too much story. I know that you're already looking at your watch. I said there is a need to avoid a situation where our graduates will be onlookers in the state's growing economy. If you don't invest in education, our graduates will no longer be relevant to the technology of the future. The technology is unfolding. It's improving every time. What is coming to us is improving. I feel sorry for teachers sometimes. I have a 12-year-old daughter. Don't ask me how I got a 12-year-old daughter. It's not your business. I have a 12-year-old daughter. I said, Oluwashem, you must learn to use the library. He said, why? I said, so that I can read books. He said, what of? I can ask Google now. Then, what are you? Ask Google, it will tell you. Ask Siri, it will tell you. So why do I have to go to the library? Is she correct or not? She's correct. There is a lot that we can do with these mobile devices. So, if we invest in education, it makes us, even our children are better. In 2003, November, I had a meeting I was dean of us at the time. I had a meeting with the leadership of the student associations. History Student Society, Literary, Kinecon, Avles, and all of them. I had a meeting with them. Say, what are your challenges? What are the things the faculty should be doing for you? One of them raised their hand. Say, excuse sir, when will our teachers stop telling us in the days of Shoyinka, in the days of Kole Omotosho, in the days of Olarotimi, what are we going to say about them? I sat down. I didn't know what to say. That they have lecturers that they themselves know more than. That what they tell them is on Google. That was 2003. Now, we want to talk to students today. ChatGPT will tell you everything you need. I actually feel sorry for teachers today. But there's no question you are asking them. ChatGPT will answer for them, and they'll copy it and come and give it to you. Ally? Students? Don't copy it, though. It doesn't make you good students. But we must face the truth that knowledge is dynamic, innovation is there, and we keep improving. So we must key into the process. If we don't build the structures and infrastructure that will make the system work for us, then we're wasting our time. I said, the Japa syndrome has affected every discipline, from medicine to engineering, to law, to software, everything. Today, parents are ready to invest in Japa education. They will send their daughter to come and read nursing at Unimed. How much are you charging for nursing? No, I'm not deriding you. I want to make a point that when people see quality, they're ready to invest. Why are people spending 2.5 million, 3 million to send somebody to read medicine at Febala University? 6.5. Ulu Agbami. 6 million. But I'm sure they're still oversubscribed for their medicine. But when you start charging for medicine, what did you, from what to what? Were you short of students? Look, what we're saying is that if parents see that education is in the benefit of their children, they are ready to invest. We cannot keep saying they cannot afford it. They must see value in what they are getting. It is the few that the category of those who cannot afford, we must also take care of them. But we have turned our country, our universities into a Japa land, in which I'm sure the Vice Chancellor is under pressure. When are you going to register with the British Council, with the British Medical Council? When are you going to register with the American Council of Medicine? Why? Because when their children graduate, where are they going? Out of the country. Let's give people hope that this country can work for them. Until people feel there's hope, know there's hope for them, there's a future, then there's a long way to go. Let me run through. Increase and diversify funding for research, innovation, and development. We cannot leave research to the vagaries of whether there's money or not. We must invest in research. And I also insist that R&D, our industries must be made to fund research in the universities. You cannot be the consumers of this research and not fund the process. When there's no apart from Tensford, where are we getting money today? Donor-driven research. It's donor-driven research. The donor wants research in onchocerciasis. Everybody begins to write a proposal on it. Donor wants money on wants have funds for research in what do you call it? In Boko Haram. Everyone becomes a Boko Haram scholar. That's what we are doing. Our research should not be dependent on where the money is coming from. Money should be available for the research that is necessary, that ought to be done. And diversify funding, then enhance capacity for cutting-edge research. Let me see, He said to support research and innovation, countries need a sizable but not vast number of top-class, superbly trained researchers and developers, not a very large number of imperfectly trained ones. You see, since the 1990s, our university systems have been invaded by people who don't have a job outside, and they just want to be lecturers because there's vacancy. I remember a staff came to me. Excuse sir, well, I have a graduate assistant in English. I said, why? He graduated 5 years ago. So the reason I should appoint him as a lecturer is because he has graduated 5 years ago, he doesn't have a job. Not because it's his desire to be an academic. Now he comes in, becomes a lecturer, and begins to dictate the terms of those who are coming to join him. What do you think is going to happen? If the quality is here, he will bring it. I said, Madam, I appreciate, I understand, I feel sorry for you that your child has graduated 5 years, doesn't have a job. But making him a lecturer is not the solution to the problem of Nigeria. Because we might solve your own problem, we'll be creating problems for our students. Time is gone. Let's go. So we need properly trained people, top-notch, quality researchers to do the work. Otherwise, all we'll be doing is distribution of knowledge, which is what our research is likely these days. And finally, enhance government-university industry partnership. We must promote partnership between the government and the universities. We must overcome this belligerent attitude, this persistent warfare between the universities and the government. You go to Abuja and say your academics, ASU, what today? The day Ife, one of our children in the church, Onifade, when she became a lecturer, when now you know the difference. Now you know why we're always going on strike. Now you know why. If the infrastructure is not there, how do you work? So there must be collaboration between the government and the universities, and between the universities and the industries. There's no way around it. If there's not, then there's a problem. Because they are the ones that will consume the products of the research. And unfortunately, the capacity to utilize the research is even weak in the government. They can't even understand what you have put together. So when you get the research report, where do they put it? They put it on the shelf. So if we are going to move forward, we must also enhance the capacity of the consumer of these products we are producing. If you are producing research that people don't understand, they cannot utilize, then there's a problem. So it's not just that we increase our own capacity, but we also help to build the capacity of the consumers of the knowledge. I hope I'm making some sense. Now, I'm recommending that we have a national research policy and a national research foundation. National research policy that will drive the kind of research that we should be funded as a country. It's not TED fund alone that should be funding research in this country. In fact, TED fund is dedicated to research is just a part, an element of the work of TED fund. A national research foundation like we have in South Africa is the kind of thing we need in this country, where there is a systematic approach to funding research, to identify the thematic areas that will address the needs of the country. I also argue that a research culture should not start in the university. It should start from the secondary, from primary school. For those of you whose children were born abroad, and your children schooled in England, in the US, they start experimenting from primary 2, primary 3. They go and they tell them how to produce gas, oxygen, how to plant, they come home with what do you call it, a bucket or something, that they grow the thing, they see the process, osmosis and all the nonsense. Sorry, I'm not a scientist, so I can call it nonsense. Don't worry, when I come back to the world, I'll be a scientist. But for now, it's too late. So, what am I saying? The research culture should be ingrained, should be developed from the lower levels. So by the time they get to higher level, it has become a culture in the country. Let me finish. Now, by adopting and implementing appropriate policies and strategies, Nigeria can overcome or at least bridge the knowledge gap and harness the power of knowledge for its development. Sirs and males, ladies and gentlemen, our knowledge industry is vast. Why do you have a cocoa research institute at Onigambari and our cocoa industry has nosedived? Why? We were talking this morning about who said they are going to his father's farm. I think it was your driver. Yeah, it's going to his father's farm. What happened to the cocoa? And here we have some people who are being paid to do research into cocoa. The cocoa industry in Ede, what happened to it? Dead. Because we never attach the right importance to what is good. We prefer to import Bonvita than to produce our own. Yet our products are the ones we use to make them. We can achieve this not by disdaining knowledge, but by embracing it. Not by exasperating researchers and other scholars with hostile policies, but by encouraging them through policies and conditions of service that will give them a sense of belonging and hope. Hope that they can be fulfilled by practicing their trade in their fatherland and not being actively encouraged to leave the country. Let me end on this note. When a minister of earth was asked the question about the brain drain in the medical sector, he said there are too many doctors that they can go. Is that the way to develop the country? Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, sir. Another round of applause for the distinguished lecturer. Next is the presentation of awards to the distinguished lecturer. And Mr. Vice Chancellor, sir, permit me to invite a professor of science education biology, the Director, Center for Gender Studies and Health Equity of the university, and a member of the UNIMED Governing Council, Professor Augustina Niriti Duilemi, to make a presentation to our distinguished lecturer for today. A round of applause for her.
All protocols duly observed. On behalf of the council, management, staff, and students of University of Medical Sciences, I want to sincerely thank you, sir, for honoring our invitation despite your tight schedule. We have actually gained from your wealth of experience. We've seen you as a scholar of repute. And I believe that any nation that will grow now must be knowledge-driven. Thank you very much for coming, sir. We are presenting this plaque for delivering the 10th University of Medical Sciences Ondo distinguished guest lecturer, sir, Professor Shola Akiridadi. Thank you very much for coming. On behalf of the university, sir, we are also very
Please put your hands together again for Professor Duilemi. The Yemeto of Ondo Town. Thank you very much, ma. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, we have come to the end of the program with the speech of the Vice Chancellor of the university. Please be on your feet and put your hands together for Professor Adeshegun Fatosi, Vice Chancellor, UNIMED Ondo.
Please be seated. Thank you very much. You agree with me that it's been a very stimulating day. Professor Lutu, Deputy Vice Chancellor Admin, Dr. Wolole Kundayo, our very able and dynamic registrar, the distinguished lecturer for this occasion, Professor Shola Akiridadi, President of the National Academy of Letters, our deans and directors, other officers of the university, our friend and special guest, Professor Emi Ojo, former VC Bowen, Professor Jacob Babarola, council member of my university, who is my employer. It's really a great pleasure this afternoon, nice afternoon, I think, having the privilege to listen to Professor Shola Akiridadi. He's someone I have known for at least 2 decades, as a senior friend and as an academic mentor. I've had the privilege to share many platforms with him over the years, and every time it has always been an opportunity to reflect, to learn, and to think about not only the knowledge industry, but actually how do we move from who we are to becoming who we should be, people who transform our society through our research and through our work. So I want to appreciate you deeply for being here and for the sacrifice you made to be here. Let me say this to you, friends. Professor Akiridadi was away in the US, and he said to me, "Can I do this online?" I said, "Sir, you can't do this online." He said, "Will you pay for my flight to come back?" I said, "Sir, I don't have money to pay for your flight, but you must come." And that's the privilege of having friends. You can hold them, you can put them in trouble when it is convenient for you. And sincerely, he made that sacrifice to come down all the way. Thank you very much, sir. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, this year marks our 9th anniversary as a university. It has not been the smoothest of our journey, but it has been an exciting time this last 3.5 years, by God's grace. And I'm glad that this year we have formally initiated the whole idea of having a foundation, our Founders Week every year. And I want to thank Professor Ogundanse and his team for the great job they've done in packaging this week. Today simply is the high point of that celebration. For many of us who are here yesterday and the last couple of days, we will recall that many of the things we've said to ourselves are part of the things that Professor Kennedy had emphasized to us as the way to go. From the figure he presented, there are about 768 institutions in this country. And I always said, and you bear witness, that selling bread and pure water is not what will distinguish us. And that's why we are not in that terrain per se. Hopefully, Center for Entrepreneur can go and do what he likes. That's what I keep on telling them. But what will distinguish us is truly being a research-intensive university that is using its research to transform its immediate society and moving on to contributing to global knowledge and making it a better world. I think today's speech had further emphasized that to us, even though it targeted towards the government and the broader dimension. But as a university, we must play a part. And I can say to you that as management of this university, we are unrepentantly committed to ensuring that this university continue to be a place of excellent research. One of the things that we have that we must continue to cherish are some of the fundamentals that had made us to make progress over the years. One of that fundamental is that we are a university where strike does not take place. We are a university where even COVID-19 did not stop us teaching, because we are able to deploy technology very fast to move it forward. We must continue to retain that as a mark of our university, so that when the university student comes here, he knows exactly when he's going to graduate. We also must continue to emphasize the fact that education in this university must really be top-notch. And that's why we say to ourselves that our call is excellence or nothing. We may not have every ingredient, but we must continue to keep that at the back of our mind, that here in this university is simply excellence or nothing. Sir, thank you for encouraging us in some of the things we are doing. I particularly like the statement that research should not start from university. One of the investments we have made as a university over the years is investing in primary schools and secondary schools. And some people wonder, why did we do that? This university sponsors annually debate at primary school level in Ondo State. We sponsor annually what is called USTEM, Unimed STEM program, where we give university secondary school money to develop concept notes on innovations. And we bring them together every year to show what they have done with the seed money we give them. And at the end of the day, the first school, the school that comes first, we give them 500,000 to go and improve the environment. We give the second school 300,000. We just got 200,000. You have simply emphasized to us that we are on the right path, and we'll continue on that path, and we'll even try to do more. Let me answer by perhaps reflecting on the 4 things you've talked to us about. And I want to use this to just challenge us as an institution to move forward. He has told us that one of the things we must continue to do is invest in education, in staff development, in training. He didn't use staff development. I'm conceptualizing to ours. I remember a time we had Senate meeting, and a professor came in on sabbatical from Akure Futa. When we were talking about pedagogy, it's like, you people are doing as if this is secondary school, you must develop. No, say no. That you need to be a staff, you must have undergone a pedagogical training. It is required, it is non-negotiable. If you want to be a teacher, you must have teaching skills. And I think our commitment in terms of investing in our capacity development of staff, academic and non-academic, must continue and must take even a higher notch. I'm glad that our director of COD is here. He has talked about innovation and technology, and I want to thank our director of the Center for Entrepreneurship Development and Innovation for the work they are doing. But we must take that work further. Like I said yesterday, there is no point doing research and not taking them to the next level that can truly be beneficial. And so innovation must continue to be our hallmark. I remember when we got the British Council Award as one of the 6 universities in Nigeria that British Council gave fund for our proposal. We are one of the 24 selected in Africa. And I remember the first question, I think Professor Gudansi will remember, that the funders were amazed at was that you are University of Medical Science. How come you are the one winning the grant on entrepreneurship? And that simply says that we truly believe in innovation. And it is good to know that even out of the 24 universities that got the African grant, last year in Ghana, we are pronounced as having the best performance among the 24 universities. Those are some immediate past achievements, but we cannot rest on those achievements. Those achievements must inspire us, must encourage us, must move us forward to know that we must continue to move forward in the area of innovation. I'm glad that our students are already on that path. We have students who are developing all kinds of devices. One is working on trauma alert and all that. We must continue to recognize that, and we must continue to reward them. Let me thank our students group for what they've done in the research day. The research day took place 2 days ago. And I was very excited about the kind of research that I had our students produce. A couple of months ago, the Academic Society of Physiotherapy had a national program. And I was very excited that our university students won the first prize. That's the kind of pathway we must encourage our students to be. Sir, you talk about information infrastructure. I think that's something we believe strongly in, but that's something you are also challenging us to go further. Sometimes when I tell people that we are a university that run information technology as a course, they're like, are you not a medical university? What are you going to do in the medical world without strengthening infrastructure for information technology? What are you going to do without computer? And that's why we must also begin to involve those technology to even stronger level of teaching and more result-oriented teaching. Finally, you talk about the issue around institutional regime. I'm glad to announce that our research policy as a university is ready, and I hope that the next council meeting will take it, and then we can roll it out. One of the highlights of that policy is to give incentives to researchers. I grew up in a university system where the 10% or 20% that comes to the university for management goes to the university. In our research policy, part of that money that's supposed to go to the university will go directly to the researcher to support him and to encourage him. Because we believe that's one way we must go if we go forward. Let me end with 2 sentences that you have made that I think all of us must take home. Number 1, that knowledge makes a difference. If you're in an academic community and our knowledge is not making difference, either to our own life or to the people around us, then we must question our basis of being the academic community. The second sentence that I think I will take home is what you said about supporting research and innovation. That we don't need a large number of people. We only need a sizable number of people who are well-trained, who are top-rated, who are superb researchers. I said yesterday, it took Jesus only 12 disciples to change the world. And if the 4 of us who are here are truly dedicated and committed to become truly we can change our world. On that note, sir, again, I want to thank you very much. And I want to thank the organizing committee. I want to thank everyone for being here. Thank you so much. God bless us.
Thank you very much, sir. Mr. Vice Chancellor, sir, permit me at this point to bring to the podium one of the latest recipients of the MED Foundation African Researchers Summit Award for 2023. Actually, just a week ago, she was declared one of the 3 best African women researchers in the continent. Please join me in welcoming Dr. Ifeoluwa Oyeyemi, the Chair for Central Committee on Animal Research Care, Animal-Related Care Services, for the vote of thanks on this occasion.
I want to sincerely appreciate the Vice Chancellor for his contributions and for everything he has done for the success of this program. I appreciate the DVC admin, Professor Luto, the registrar, Dr. Waliola Ekundayo. Thank you all for being here. Our heartfelt gratitude goes to our distinguished guest lecturer, Professor Akinrimade. Thank you for taking your time. Professor Akinrinade, I'm sorry. Thank you for taking your time to share with us from your wealth of knowledge. We appreciate it, and we have gained a lot from that lecture. We appreciate all our distinguished guests. Thank you for taking time out of your tight schedule to be here with us. We take it as an honor. Our appreciation goes to the deans, all the deans and the directors for coming here. We appreciate all the other university officials that are here seated, chairman and members of the organizing committee. Thank you for all you have put together to make this a success. All colleagues here seated are appreciated, and our dear students, thank you all for coming here. We appreciate everybody for your contribution, for being here, and for making it a success. It shall be greater next time. Thank you so much. God bless.
Another round of applause for Dr. Just been also informed that she is the Deputy Director for the Office of Strategy and Program Management. Thank you very much, ma'am. May I request that we all be on our feet now as we take the anthems. We'll take the university anthem, the state anthem, and the second stanza of the national anthem.
For research that we've gained to war, to achieve the best in health sciences, build a nation, change the world, touching lives and making impact in the nation. Have I used the truth to know? In love and honesty to grow and live in just and truth. Great love he hides attain to build a nation where peace and justice shall reign.
Thank you very much. Please remain standing while the procession of the Vice Chancellor departs in reverse order. Be on your feet. Until the And the students, please be on your seats for your refreshment. A group photograph is taking place outside. So, may I request that the deans and our guests join the group photograph going on outside now.